So good evening, everyone. Hello and welcome to this new session of BSmart Business Standard Case Study webinar. This is the second year that we have been doing this webinar, and we do this webinar every month once. This is a reward case study webinar that we have been doing quite successfully. We give a case study, we organize a case study contest every month, and we give the students, the management students across the country, a case study and a few questions to answer to test their skills, their logical ability, their reasoning, and all of that. And basis their answers, we we come up with the winners, and then we declare the results. In this particular webinar, we will do that. But before that, we will, of course, discuss a topic. The topic is generally around the case study that we gave to the students, but we don't discuss brand specifics. And this is a very generic intellectual overview of the whole industry, instead of some brand specifics. Let me discuss the session flow. We have an esteemed lineup of experts today who will discuss the topic. Today's topic is learning top HR practices from the stalwarts. We will discuss, our discussion will focus around the evolution of HR function, ethical issues and strategies, top practices in workplace management, and how to build an excellent corporate culture. And of course, because we have such esteemed panelists, we would know from them, we would ask them, request them for a few suggestions and tips for all the management students watching this webinar. After the discussion is done, we will reveal the winners of the case study, and we are also going to reveal the launch of the next June case study and announce the timelines. So let me take this privilege of introducing the elite panelists we have with us today, and then we will start with the discussion. We have Professor Sourav Mukherji, Dean and Faculty, Organizational Behavior and Human Resources Management, IIM Bangalore. Mr. Mukherji teaches postgraduate and doctoral level courses at IIM Bangalore. His expertise is in organization design, and his research interest is in the area of sustainability and inclusivity. So he has also worked with the likes of IBM and Oracle in product management functions and in the Boston Consulting Group as a strategy consultant. A very warm welcome, Mr. Mukherji. Next, we have Dr. Reeti Kulshrestha, Faculty Strategy and Entrepreneurship, BIMTECH, and Chairperson, Center for Sustainability and CSR, BIMTECH. Dr. Kulshrestha, a PhD in social entrepreneurship, is an educator and researcher at Birla Institute of Technology and Management, Greater Noida, India. Her area of interest lies in sustainability, entrepreneurship, and narratives and lived experiences of individuals. She's also the assistant editor of South Asian Journal of Business and Management Cases. She's the vice president of the International Sustainable Development Research Society, Sweden. A very warm welcome, Dr. Kulshrestha. So next we have Ms. Aditi Bansal, Human Resource Lead in Business Standard. Aditi is an accomplished HR leader with experience spanning across diverse industries like banking, media, and electronics. That also includes the likes of Samsung and Hindustan Times Media Limited. She brings a rich perspective on talent management, organizational development, and people strategy. Aditi holds a BTech degree and an MBA in Human Resources from Wellinkar Institute of Management. A very warm welcome, Aditi.
Thank you so much.
So welcome all the viewers. It's really a tough task to keep you all glued and make it interesting, especially at this hours in the evening where you'll probably have a tiring day and you would want to rest. But I'm sure with the diverse set of panelists we have, this will be a really, really interesting session for all of us. Let us start discussing the questions we have for all the panel members out here. So my first question is to Professor Sourav. Professor Sourav, how has the role of HR leaders evolved over the years? Do you think there has been a major shift in the HR function from being viewed as an administrative function to now being viewed as a key strategic support to a company?
Well, I think this question is not a new one. I mean, there has been this debate for a very long time. I joined my first company in 1993. Many of the young viewers definitely would not have been born by that point of time. And this was a multinational enterprise whom you all know, which is IBM. And IBM was at that point very clear that the HR head has to sit on the same table when company strategy is being made. So there was no doubt among the HR functions or anybody who is concerned with organization design that HR has to play a very critical role. HR is both a vertical as well as a horizontal. You can have an HR function which looks after various HR activities like payroll, etc. But every person in the organization has to be aware of their role in terms of people management. So I think there is always an implementation issue when you talk about whether HR is playing a strategic role or an administrative role. It so much depends on the leaders of the company. If they understand that people are their main resources, then HR will always be playing a strategic role. But unfortunately, in some company, maybe they take a view that HR is, people are just like any other resource, expendable. In that case, an HR person will just be relegated to a moderate role or a insignificant role which you may be. But if you think of an organization, then people are such an important resource for us, and hence HR will have to play a very, very strategic role.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ritu, we would be interested to have your views on the same question.
Yeah, so thank you, Abhishek. And I totally agree with Professor Saurav. And I think he rightly points it out because this hasn't been a new question. So it has always been there. So, I mean, it was only very, very long back that HR was only considered as an administrative function or a support. We are frequently now talking about strategizing HRM and strategizing and organizational strategies around the HR function. So, for example, if I give you an example of the digital nomads to get today, and the remote workers and the gig workers, yeah. So we are now talking about an entirely different workforce. And it is definitely very important to understand that the nature of the organizations has evolved over a period of time. Yeah. So if you have a different nature of workforce which are now working for you, it is definitely important to rethink your HR functions also along with your strategies. So organizations rather are now thinking about how to retain, how to engage these kind of people who are also a part of the regular workforce now. So we can see that as the organizations are evolving, so are the functions, and that doesn't leave HR separately from others. So we are talking about developing new organizational skills. We are talking about developing new personal skills. Yeah. So I think it has now become even more imperative that the strategy and the HR function do not exist in isolation, but they talk to each other continuously and constantly. Yeah. Thank you.
Next, may I request Aditi, if you can please share your views on this?
I think both of them have covered. I would agree to Dr. Reeti here that in the VUCA world, when time and technology are changing too fast, uh, there is a disruptive technology coming in every time, there is an imperative need to reskill your workforce. Like I'll share an example. TCS, when AI came in, they almost reskilled 2.5 lakh people in their organization. So in times like these, HR has to play a strategic role. I would also say HR always had the human experience with them. But with technology getting introduced, like HR analytics came in, we were able to help the management take informed decisions with attrition parameters, with engagement dashboards coming in. It slowly evolved from the personnel management times, and now here we are that we have to work hand in hand with the organization goals and strategy.
Thank you so much, Aditi. My next question will be to both Professor Dr. Reeti. You are the ones who are crafting the next crop of HR leaders, the young HR leaders of the country. How are the B schools shaping the future HR leaders and teaching them how to handle virtual onboarding, remote employee engagement, cross-border labor compliance? Are there any special sessions on HR analytics for students to, know how to quantify turnover, burnout, engagement, or productivity? Maybe Professor Saurav, if you could answer this first.
See, like all important management functions, we are also talking about bringing in some of these tech-led things into HR. If you're talking about HR being data analytic, bringing in HR analytics, or what role does HR play in a digital transformation of an organization? These are some of the questions of the time. Also, questions about what is the kind of work that organization employees should do versus what is the kind of work that can be outsourced. And if you push the legal side, even that is becoming very important. So yes, we cover, as all business schools do, many of this, the basic levels in our core courses. There is a core course in HR, and then there are a whole bunch of others which are electives. And but at the heart of it, what is most important is that we must sensitize our students to the people dimension of any business. It does not matter whether you are going to join a marketing function or even a finance function. People realize that over the time you actually need to understand the people dynamics, and that is what is very critical. And we are very conscious about it. When I start any course, I tell people that, look, there are three resources in your disposal: financial resources, human resources, and physical resources. And any MBA student should be well aware of all of the different ways by which I can take advantage of all of these three kind of resources to achieve my strategic objective. The big difference between HR and the others is that human beings have a mind of their own. They have an agency, whereas a financial resources or physical resources, thankfully, do not have a mind of their own. So it is not about teaching somebody at an MBA level specifics of a function that they will anyway pick up because they are smart people. But it is about giving them what we call the metacognition or the meta skill, that how do you even handle, how do you understand the people behavior. I think that's what has been our attempt to tell our students.
Thank you so much, Professor Saurav. That was really insightful. Dr. Reeti, your take on this.
Yeah, so thank you. And I'll take forward what Professor Saurav has already shared. So, of course, in terms of curriculum, we do have, some core courses, some electives, which are already covering this somewhere extensively and somewhere, more at a foundational level. So that's one part. I think in terms of curriculum, so I'll, kind of segregate it into few things. The first, when we talk about curriculum in terms of summer internships or in terms of live projects, I'll give you two examples. There was this study which we had done, an impact study assessment for one of the social enterprises, and where we had to actually carry out that the kind of fund that they have been given, whether they've actually kind of, come out with a correct analysis and whether they've been able to use that funds effectively. That was typically an assessment, impact assessment study. So I'd engaged some of my students there in that study, and they had to actually go down to the level of, reaching out to these underprivileged beneficiaries who are actually taking advantage of subsidized water. And that is where they had to actually collect the data and come back with their own, insights and analysis, not just the quantitative, but also the qualitative. So that is where we are kind of trying to, through the curriculum, we are trying to engage our students more on the ground so that, they can also develop people skills. It was initially very, very difficult for the students because they are kind of hesitant, and it's a different kind of communication skills that you require, but they really enjoyed the experience, and that is where they kind of got this ground connection. So that's one. Secondly, in terms of onboarding, global workforce and onboarding or virtual onboarding and all that, we try to give our students cross-cultural exposure. So that's important because we have now, a borderless workforce working with us, right? And then tomorrow they'll also be joining the same workforce. So my experience with the ISDRS actually helps me to connect my students to international faculties or international, maybe candidates also for that matter. So there is this mentorship program that I engage my students in, and that is where I'm able to kind of, give them that experience. Incidentally, or interestingly, there was this study which I was doing on Infosys. I mean, so this 70-hour week, which was kind of, made so much of people were talking about it when Mr. Narayan Murthy had actually, kind of remarked that, we all need a 70 hour per week. So I had carried out a study because I really wanted to understand how does the Gen Z take it today, and how does the millennials are taking it. So in that study, I had actually, taken my participants from different generations, and I really wanted to understand what are the people of today, how do they take it, so they had a different conception. So it's kind of a two-way, which I see. It's not just the organizations, who are looking for, have certain expectations from the incoming, students as HR leaders, but it's also at the same time the organizations need to rethink. So whether it is, moralizing productivity, or whether it is, labor protection, for example, there were very, very different responses coming from different people. So somewhere, it's a two-way process. It's not just the students that we are, kind of encouraging and empowering them, but also at the same time, the organizations need to kind of, take a step ahead. So this is where we are kind of seeing, we are kind of trying to connect the bridge, and this is how we're going forward. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reeti. My next question is to Aditi. Aditi, you are probably the one who is making and planning the HR strategies and getting them executed. How can HR strategies today measure and protect the mental health and well-being of employees amid, the massive expectations of productivity?
Yes, Abhishek, I think post COVID, this has become one of the major things we've been discussing in all the HR forums, that mental health, especially in remote setups or hybrid setups, has taken a hit. While on one hand, we do not have workforce who want to return to office, people want flexibility. At the same time, it isolates them from their workplace and peer group. So here, again, as I stressed upon HR analytics earlier, there are some parameters which we personally look at, or which the HR professionals look at. Some parameters which you can get from exit interviews, attrition rate analysis, leave utilization rates. We can look at pulse check surveys. Small trends in certain teams, which help you understand that where is the burnout happening. So these things help you understand where is the mental health getting affected. Also, I think all this will happen only when the core philosophy of your organization is designed around empathy. There are organizations who in today's date are giving a minimum leave utilization target, so that people take a break, they regain their energy, enthusiasm to come back to work. So these are, again, taking help of HR analytics, going back to small parameters and keeping empathy at the core will help us gauge the mental health of people. And, to link it with productivity, I would say it is not mental health versus productivity. It is not an inversely proportional formula. It is directly proportional, right?
Great, Aditi. Quite a last line disclaimer from an HR professional. Thank you so much for that answer. Professor Saurav, it would be also interesting to know your take on this, please.
See, I think definitely mental health is a very big issue, not only in organizations today, but even in academic organizations. And we know that institutes like IIMs are preparatory grounds for students to understand the life that they're going to lead when they join corporations. There is no doubt there will be pressure. I mean, in high performance environment, there is pressure, and without pressure, there is no excellence, right? But at the same time, are we making our students ready to deal with that? And there is this general sense that probably a lot of young people today are not prepared to deal with failures. And I think that's something that we are very conversant. I mean, we are very conscious about. We are trying to think about it. Is the HR function in the industry looking at these issues? I hope they are doing. I don't have an insight information into that, but I liked what Aditi says, and that's something very, very fundamental, is about empathy, right? I mean, empathy is a value system. You can't teach people to be empathetic. I mean, it comes from your upbringing, it comes from the way you look at the world, and we can only tell people that what are the positives of being empathic, but that's something very, very fundamental. I hope we are able to inculcate some amount of that among our students. And then when I join organization, the organization culture rewards people who are empathetic, and probably does not reward people who are not. But I would also like to point out one more dimensions, that today with this impact of AI, people are also very, very troubled by these large scale layoffs. What I am reading all over, Amazon is laying 30,000 employees, IT companies are laying that. So that in turn is going to cause a lot of heartburn. And as a function or as a horizontal, HR professionals will have to be very, very conscious about it. What is it that, where is it that we are going wrong, that we make some estimate of hiring people and then we have to lay off 30,000 people? I mean, at the core of it, it's a strategic mistake. It's a mistake of the leaders. And who are suffering? The employees, right? So it's, I think it's only the HR function with their stand on empathy who can bridge this. That, yes, it is good to be aggressive to build market share, but remember, we are dealing with people and we have to be empathetic. We have to be looking at them with dignity, and they are not like any other resources that you use them when you want it and you dump them when you don't want them. I think that is something which we have to understand.
Very candid views, and very honest, and the true views, I would say, Professor Saurav. Thank you so much for that. um, Again, I will come back to Aditi once again. Aditi, so I'm not saying that this situation will professionals, HR professionals will come across this situation daily, but for the young leaders who want to join HR, how can young HR professionals handle allegations against senior leaders for violating company policies without compromising on the confidentiality part, of course, and maintaining fair process for both the complainant and the accused?
So, Abhishek, one thing here is that integrity and ethics in an organization are part of the DNA, should be part of the DNA in every organization. Now, when you look at allegations and complaints, there is a law of natural justice for both the parties. And it is not about the fact that who is complaining against whom, right? In today's scenario, especially we've recently seen so many cases coming up. Thankfully, there is a mechanism in most of the companies around this. First is to understand and be non-negotiable with your ethics. Second is around documentation. I think this is one practice which goes missing in a lot of organizations. While we complain to each other, we complain to the HR team, we do not have a lot of documentation around it. With the new labor laws coming in, we have the facility of a grievance redressal committee, we have the facility of a work committee, we already have a POSH committee, ICC committee since a long time. So with all these committees in place, what young HR professionals need to do is they need to document and raise the issue timely, and not look at complaints as to who is complaining against whom.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aditi. Dr. Reeti, I would just request you, do you have any take on this? Because you seem to be teaching around corporate strategies, ethics, and all of that. Do you have any take on this?
So, Abhishek, I think so. I look at it in few perspectives. So, one is that on one side, I see that there is, to be very honest, there is a toxic work culture in some places. There is soft bullying also happening. There is, a lack of psychological safety. There is trust deficit. This is one side of the story. There is another side where we are, teaching our students ethics and governance. I'm teaching them moral dilemmas. I'm teaching them ethical dilemmas, and you won't believe that these are the classes which are very, very intense when you actually, take up subjects like this. So when you actually take up some kind of real-time situations which the students would have faced in their lives, And it's a very, very, so intense kind of discussion. So on one side, we are, kind of preparing our students to be able to face this kind of, an environment in the coming times. But at the same time, there is a depleting resilience also, which is taking place in the, in the workforce today. So like maybe say in the older times, people were more resilient and more adaptive and all of that. But at the same time today, and then at the same time, we're also finding that people are raising issues more often now. Yeah, so these are the changes which are happening in the society. And as Professor Saurav was pointing out, the values and the ethos are at the core of all of this. Yeah, so I think it actually boils down to individual. It boils down to the individual, that how you are not just, shaped in the institution, but it is also what values and ethos you have been carrying forward, and what is it that is getting nurtured in the business environment in the institute and also later on. So I think it's a process where your identities, or where you as an individual is continuously getting regulated. So, people are reshaping and re-evolving, and they're kind of trying to get attuned with the times. But then at the same time, there is a certain burnout which is happening, which is kind of, coming along with this. So we are trying to kind of find a balance between, this energy, this innovation, this dynamic capability, and the kind of trust building which is required. So somewhere around this, I think it's kind of a learning process or a learning curve happening for all of us, where the organizations, the individuals, the HR leaders, the strategic leaders also, for example, they're continuously evolving with the times are changing. For example, if we talk today about AI integration into HR practices, so there was this study which I did, and where we were trying to find out that how are the HR professionals taking AI integration in their stream, how are they actually responding to this AI integration. So most of them, surprisingly, they were not comfortable with it. Yeah, because somewhere they are not very comfortable with the fact that there is a certain trust issue there. So, I mean, we have to, so whatever implementation, whatever execution has to happen with people, inside the picture, not outside the picture. So if it's a collective process, if it's an organizational culture where everybody is taken along, where decisions are taken collectively, where processes are constructive, then in those cases, probably the outcomes are going to be more, positive, probably. But that's a process, and, it's going to take time to evolve. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reeti. Aditi, I'll come back to you. My next question is to you. Often there is a probability of a lapse in oversight for a company having branches all across the country, or for a global MNC. Now, how can HR leaders ensure that even the smallest branches are aligned with the ethical standards and values of the company?
Good question, Abhishek. I think, here we have two things in place. One is people, second is the process. And both have to be aligned in a way that the farthest and the smallest branch is not overlooked at. Why I talk about people, the HR business partners at the regional level, the regional managers, and you remember, as Professor Saurabh said, that HR is also horizontal. So every people manager is also my representative at the branch. They also are part of the people practices. So it is very important that all of them are aligned, all of them are sensitized, and similarly, they serve as the culture stewards of your brand, of your policies, of your thinking. Second part is the process. There are huge companies where you have 50 plus branches, hundreds of them, small centers, big centers. In organizational setups like these, it is imperative that the same kind of onboarding, same kind of internal communication goes to each branch, and same kind of focus is received by each branch. Generally, I have observed as an HR practice that the larger branches, or the branches where the management is present, are the branches which receive a lot of focus. However, the smaller branches where you have lesser population, or maybe 10 people at some particular remote place, they are overlooked at. So a combination of people and practices, processes together will help us understand and keep everybody aligned at the same page.
So I would, like to request both Dr. Reeti and Professor Saurabh. Dr. Reeti first. If you want to address this through your strategic and ethical lens, you may just want to talk about this.
So I think I mean for this particular question, I would say that when we are talking about the smaller units or the bigger units, I think it's again about the culture that flows through. So if that culture is kind of so, there are times when the central figure is the one who's actually responsible for the whole thing flowing in right from the main to the branches. So if there is a misalignment in values and the mission, yeah, and the purpose for which they are working, so you will find at times that the smaller units, all the smaller branches, do not align anymore. Yeah, and that is where the whole thing starts to kind of disintegrate. So if the culture and the philosophy of the organization is strong enough, say for example, I'll give an example. Most of the students, I mean, Professor Saurav would agree with me. Most of the students, even today, when we ask them that who is the most ethical leader whom you can think of, most of them almost unanimously talk about Mr. Tata. Yeah, even till today. And I think in the years to come, they will always talk about Mr. Ratan Tata. Why? Because the ethos for that, I mean, the ethos for which that person stood or that great man stood was unparalleled. Yeah. And it was flowing not just in thought, but also in word and deed. So I think we are talking about the consistency throughout. Yeah, so there was no kind of incoherence between actions and deeds. So the whole purpose of these, smaller units, bigger units, branches, all of that, I think it only arises when there is a misalignment between the thought, word, and deed. Yeah, so kind of focusing more on building ourselves or maybe, developing our character for ourselves. So we will always talk about integrity, character. I think Mr. Ratan Tata was one person where I think millions of people posted when, he kind of left us. So this is what it shows to have a great, statesmanship, I would say. Yeah, thank you.
I could see Professor Saurav also waiting to speak something. Yes, sir, please.
No, I think between Aditi and Reeti, they have covered the two important dimensions of both process and culture. The couple of things maybe I would like to add. One is that remember that when we are small as a unit, it is the culture that dominates. Because if you have 10 people, then you will not want to make yourself too bureaucratic, etc. Right? Now here we are talking of something else. We are talking about a smaller unit of the larger organization. Now, hence, there will be always some non-negotiable saying these are the rules which you absolutely have to follow. These are the processes which you cannot violate. That's true. But keeping also in mind that the smaller unit, further it is away from the head office, right? They will develop a culture of its own. They will develop a dynamics of its own, which is very good for the unit because you don't want to sit in Delhi and control a small unit in Pondicherry. But how do I ensure that there is consistency? How do I ensure that there is alignment? And that is where you have to be very careful about the leader who is in charge of that smaller unit, because it is the leader who will communicate the value. So if I am Mr. Ratan Tata and I am sending somebody to a very remote locations in Arunachal Pradesh, I will select a person whom I trust. I will select a person who will be able to carry my values, my ethos to wherever he or she goes. And I think that's an additional which I'm just going to make, because this is a complexity about a big company having a smaller thing. But any small unit, the culture dominates, and the culture dominates, which means within culture, the leader of the behavior dominates. And so one has to be very careful about that.
Thank you, Professor Saurav, and we won't let you go because the next question is about skills. And when it comes to skills, we need you to answer this. Amid the technology disruptions and evolution of HR function, what do you think? What skills matter the most, and what do you believe will be the most important skills, kind of indispensable for HR students to succeed in their career?
Yeah, so I can't gaze in the future. I mean, I can't predict. But if you are a student in a business school today, first of all, you have to have a very clear understanding of what are the levers of human behavior. And this is I had come from an engineering background when I joined a business school, and we had no idea, because we were used to systems which are predictable. We are used to systems which are computable, which can be modeled, whereas a human behavior is inherently indeterminate. You cannot model human behavior. Why? Because we ourselves are very inconsistent. We may be somebody in the morning and somebody completely else in the evening, right? So that is very fundamental to understanding. And this is not only about understanding employees, but it is also true for understanding consumers. And these are the two most important things you will always be dealing with in organizations. You will have a customer, you will have a consumer, you have to understand their behavior, you will have employees who will be helping you to do that. So I think rather than focusing on specific skills, because need of skills will change over a period of time, today it is, think about it. I mean, few years ago it was analytics, today it has suddenly become AI, and from AI very quickly it will be getting to agentic AI, and if not something else, right? So the idea here is to give them, as I taught before, those meta skills, those meta cognitive ability, right? And if you look at education itself, we bucket it into three boxes: knowledge, skills, values, and attitude. And we want to work on all three of them, so that some of the values that we talked about in terms of ethics, in terms of empathy, that is something we can reinforce, make them understand the basics of human behavior. And then we hope that when we have given you this portfolio, go out into the world and make it a better place.
So Dr. Reeti, if you could answer the same question. Ma'am, can you please unmute?
Yes. So I kind of agree with Professor Saurabh, because these are the skills which will always keep evolving. But I think for today, if I have to say, then probably a few things would be: one is the cultural adaptation, which the students really need to, as HR professionals for tomorrow. I think cultural adaptation is one thing which certainly becomes a differentiator also, to an extent where you are more kind of accommodative of the sensibilities and the sensitivities of people. So I think that's one thing which, as HR professionals, people really need to learn, because today we are talking about global workforce and workplaces which are more global in nature. So you really need to be mindful of those things and those nuances which actually goes into working together as a team. Yeah, so that's probably one thing. The second could be that I think being very having clarity to understand who you are, yeah, and who you want to become, and what is the path that you want to take, what are the decisions you will back, what are the choices you are going to take. I think it's very important today for people to be focused on who they want to be seen as, or who they want to become. I think most of the people, or most of the students, they kind of get disheartened or whatever, because they're not clear about who they are, who they want to become, where is the path, where is it leading me into. So maybe some kind of clarity around this, remaining focused on becoming who they want, so that we call it an authentic self. Yeah, so if you are focused on becoming an authentic self, because that's something which will never die, yeah, which will always pay, which is not a timely skill, it was always going to be there. So as HR professionals, if you are really authentic with who you are, people are going to trust you, because people will know that this is who you are, and this is what is going to kind of come out of you. So I think authentic self, cultural adaptation, contextual approach, so not one rule stick, not one rule applying to all, so that ruthless application shouldn't be there. Yeah, so people have to be mindful as HR professionals. They have to be mindful of whom they are dealing with, what is the situation. So I think that kind of flexibility in one's approach and not applying a generalized rule would probably also kind of help them, along with all that I've just raised. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reeti. This was the last question of the discussion. So of course we have to go to Aditi. Aditi, Aditi, if you're there.
Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah, Aditi. So, you are the one who is probably doing all the hiring things, creating hiring programs. So, you're the one who are actually looking for a specific skill set while hiring. What do you think, what are the skill sets you look at while hiring, young HR professionals?
Good question, Abhishek. I think in the last 4 to 5 years, it's a lot of shift from the skill set to the attitude. With the Gen Z coming in, there is a shift in the attitude, and there are organizations where there is not only cultural diversity, I would say there is a, a rainbow of people with different ages and cultures coming in. So, with this, I think some of the important things to look at: one are your functional skills. Second is your attitude and cultural alignment. As Professor Saurabh said, that when there are smaller units, it is very important to look at cultural alignment. Especially when you have successful teams, you are all the more cautious about the person getting aligned to the culture. So one thing is which we definitely look at is the cultural alignment. Functional skills, of course, in HR have always, the knowledge skills have already always been tested. And with AI coming in, it's become a little more easier to test people on their functional skills, their knowledge, etc. But I think for young people, when we hire young people, we always look at the zeal to grow, to learn, and that alignment to our culture. One question I always ask people when I hire them from campus is, what does your first company look like? So I get an answer that what are some of the non-negotiables for a young person in an organization. So I think that's there from my side. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all the all the panel members we have with us today for answering and discussing those questions, giving your suggestions for the future HR professionals. We will now move on to the section which all the students have been very eagerly waiting for. We will announce the winners of the May case study contest. Can I please request to have the slides, please? So the first prize winner is from CMR Institute of Technology, Bangalore. It is Nishant P. Katamble. Many congratulations, Nishant, for winning the first award. He also wins a cash prize of 5,000 rupees. Many congratulations. Can we have the second prize winner, please? The second prize winner is also from CMR Institute of Technology, Bangalore. It is Vaishnavi Mali Patil from the same institute, Bangalore. It looks like Bangalore has not just lifted the IPL trophy, but lifting the trophies here as well. Congratulations, Vaishnavi. And she wins a cash prize of rupees 3,000. Next, the third prize winner, it is Navya Sharma from ICFI Business School, Jaipur, Rajasthan. She wins a cash prize of rupees 2,000. Many congratulations to the winner. Great job. Given the kind of responses in bulk, we received a lot of responses for the case study we gave to the students, and I mean, you must be very proud of yourself that you are among the winners. So, I would call the winners one by one to talk about your experiences. I'll call Nishant P. Katamble first. Nishant, if you can please. Can we have Nishant? Is Nishant there?
No, I think Nishant is not there.
Okay, do we have the second prize winner, Vaishnavi?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes, Vaishnavi, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay, yeah. First of all, good evening to everyone. I am Vaishnavi Mali Patil, currently pursuing my MBA first year at CMR Institute of Technology. I'm standing here today as one of the top panelists is truly a proud and unforgettable moment for me. And when I first came across this case study competition on the BSmart app, I saw it not just as a competition, but as an opportunity to challenge my thinking and improve my problem solving skills and step beyond my comfort zone. And every stage of this journey taught me something valuable, from analyzing ideas deeply to presenting them with confidence. And this achievement would not have been possible without constant encouragement and guidance of my HOD sir and Mohan sir, who as a coordinator for a BSmart app in our department, and their support motivated me to believe in my abilities even during the moments of self-doubt. And I'm always thankful to them. And today I stand here not just with gratitude, but with a stronger belief that every opportunity we take seriously has the power to transform us. And I also thank to the organizers for creating such a meaningful platform for students like us to showcase our ideas and talents. Competitions like these do more than reward winners. They build confidence, creativity, and future leaders. And once again, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Vaishnavi, for those words of inspiration for a lot of MBA students. And congrats for winning the prize. Do we have the third prize winner, Navya Sharma from ICFI Business School, Jaipur?
Good
Do we...
evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Navya.
My name is Navya Sharma. I'm currently pursuing my MBA at Tech5 Business School, Jaipur. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the organizers, faculty members, jury members, and mentors who are creating such a platform that encourages analytical thinking and problem solving. This case study was a wonderful learning experience for me because it helped me to learn beyond the classroom concepts, and I was able to apply my knowledge to the real world situation, the challenges, and give the practical recommendations. One of the biggest key takeaways from this case study was that the most effective solutions are not always the complex ones, but those that are practical, sustainable, and aligned with the organizational goals. I would also like to thank my institution, my faculty members, and my family for their constant support and encouragement. And of course, big congratulations to all the participants here and the fellow winners. And I would like to thank Business Standard especially because for this recognition, it now motivates me to keep learning, growing, and contributing meaningfully in the future. Thank you again for this honor.
Thank you so much, Navya. So, a big congratulations to all the winners and for all the viewers, for all the
Abhishek,
management students.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I think Nishant, the first rank, is just joining us. Just give him a couple of minutes. Actually, just dropped right now to do some electric issue. He's just joining in a
Sure.
minute.
Sure, we'll wait for Nishant then. So, what I was saying is, really many congratulations to all the students, all the prize winners who have won this contest. But for those who are watching this session and couldn't win, for us, you are also the winners. And, we are quite sure that you will come back stronger for the next case study contest. See, we did not win the World Cup for several years, but when we came back to the winning streak, we made it a habit. So, you can always come back stronger. You can, take the feedback, suggestions, and
No, Abhishek,
make it
you
count.
can again give the Bangalore's experience in IPL for not winning it for 16 years and then
Exactly.
winning back to back. Yeah. So
So
persistence
why don't
pays.
you talk about that? I mean, that will inspire them.
No, persistence certainly pays, but provided you have Virat Kohli with you.
But I'm sure there are a lot of Virat Kohlis out here watching the session, inspired by him and following his footsteps, of course. So, I'm sure you could also, take them through and give them some suggestions so that they can come back stronger.
No, but I think since we are with cricket and cricket is such a popular game, I mean, if you look at Virat and his relationship with Bangalore team, I think two things stands out. One is that despite having not won for 15 or 16 years, his allegiance never shifted. He was always with the team, right? And second thing is he is a person who is completely focused on physical fitness. And yes, he is extremely skillful as a cricketer, but it does help to build that level of physical fitness because it's a very strong complementer. So broadly, hard work and loyalty and persistence pays. And this is something that I think we would love our students to take as a lesson, that there are no shortcuts in life. If you work hard, maybe not today, but sooner or later you are going to get your reward, and there is no satisfaction which is greater than that.
Great words, sir. Great words of inspiration. I would also come back to Dr. Reeti and Aditi on that. But I think meanwhile, Nishant has joined us. Nishant, are you there? Nishant, are you there?
Nishant is there, but he hasn't opened up his camera and he's mute also.
Nishant, if you're here, can you unmute and talk about your experience?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am Nishant Katambe. I am from CMRIT Bangalore. I truly honored to secure first position in a case study in BSmart. I truly want to thank BSmart whole team for creating such a wonderful platform that challenges us to think creatively and that challenges us to think creatively and help us to apply our classroom knowledge in a practical way in a real world business problems. I truly want to thank my professors, Mohan sir, Rajesh sir, and my mentor Bijay sir, and one of the important person, our HOD, Sandeep Sharma sir. It was not all about winning; it was about learning, growing, and pushing our boundaries beyond comfort zone. Thank you. So,
Thank you so much, Nishant. We would come back to Dr. Reeti. Dr. Reeti, your final words of advice and suggestions to the students.
Yeah, so I think for final words, my my advice would be that remain adaptive, remain agile. Yeah, always have a never give up attitude. Do not think anything is below you, or so many times students will kind of think that there's a better offer that will come my way, so they won't take up the offer that is there in their hand. Kind of always tell them every work is good, every experience is good for your life. Every experience is helping you grow. So I mean, taking that kind of an attitude, again coming back to Aditi when she was saying that the attitude, you won't mind a worker having less of skills but better attitude, yeah, but you will certainly mind a worker who's having a lot of attitude and but then good skills. So you will, you kind of certainly shy away from people having not the right attitude. So I think never giving up, agility, adaptiveness, yeah, and of course persistence. uh, Smart work, of course, yeah, but then hard work is no substitute. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for those words of inspiration. Aditi, if we can have your take, please.
Abhishek, there is a quote which my professor in my B school used to say, that an MBA will teach you business, but uh, an MBA will teach you management, but the success depends on how well you manage yourself. And in today's time, I think as a professional, as a corporate professional, it is highly important that we maintain our zeal to learn, to work. And you will see that as you rise in the corporate ladder, you will have different challenges in front of you at different point in time. When you are starting off your career, the challenge is, I want to learn, I want to grow. When you achieve something till the middle management, there are a lot of times that we do not adapt, as Dr. Reeti said, that with technology, with changing trends, there is a sense of complacency that seeps in. And when you are at the top leadership level, there is a different kind of challenge to propagate the culture down the lane. But all this will only happen if you are strict and disciplined with yourself. So manage yourselves better. And that is my only advice to you. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you so
evening.
much. Thank you so much, Aditi. So now we will move on to the next slide, which is about the next month's case study contest. Can we please have the slide for the next month's case study contest? So we have already launched the June case study yesterday. Can I please have the title and synopsis? It is about how to build on the brand melody buzz, a trending topic nowadays. The synopsis that we gave to the students is, as Parley Products Chief, how can you encash on the sudden and viral media buzz on Melody, a forgotten brand? So it will be a branding and strategy case study for them. We would love to get the answers. We will now discuss the timelines. It was launched yesterday. The submission deadline is June 15th, midnight. We will declare the results on June 30 in the webinar, of course. And the prize money disbursement will happen on July 9. The first prize winner will win a cash prize of 5,000. Second prize winner will win a cash prize of 3,000. And the second runner-up or the third prize winner will win a cash prize of 2,000. So that's all for today's session, for today's webinar. Thank you, everybody. And a special thanks for all the panelists, our esteemed panel members who joined us today with such great insights and great suggestions. Thank you, everybody.